We also, as you can look around, we're going to have over 1,000 volunteers at the 3 different locations to support the event. We have some awesome sponsors here. Simpson Properties, PG, and Midtown GC have been incredible sponsors for this event. We wouldn't be able to do that without them. We also have some great community sponsors. James Limousine and Sheets are providing a lot of providing the limousine rides for our guests, and Sheets is providing food for the caregivers that are staying here, which is also just a great provision for them. We have thousands of other sponsors and many, many donations given through our Amazon wish list. So it's just been a community support event, and we're very, very thankful. We're very thankful for y'all as well. So I'm just going to pray for our time real quick, and then Heather is going to take it from here. Jesus, we thank you for tonight. I thank you for the provision of these volunteers in this room. We just pray that you go before us in this event. We pray for anxieties to be lessened. We pray that we can be uncomfortable. We can be comfortable with the uncomfortable. We just pray for the details leading up to Night to Shine. And we pray for our guests that it will be an awesome night for them. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So I have to tell you all that like a week and a half ago, we had like 70 buddies and a panic attack because we didn't know how we were going to pull this off with over 200 guests coming. And then in a matter of just a few days, we were overwhelmed with so many willing volunteers. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving this night. Thank you for trying to make someone else's night really special. And we just really want to show our appreciation, and we're just so glad. Look at this room's full. Yay. So kind of an outline of tonight. I'm going to go over some clerical things about the space and how the evening will flow. Can I see if you have ever been involved with the Night to Shine before? So last year it was at Hope Church or Cool Spring. Then there were the big ones at Altria. Was anyone at Altria? Few. And what about way back when it was here at West End, back in 2016, 2017? So we've been doing this a while, but it's kind of new to be back here. So we're gonna refresh our memory and remind ourselves how it all works. So just a few clerical things. Before the Night to Shine, this is things that you should do before February 9th. Think about what you're going to wear. Now, you are going to a prom, and you are also a guest at the prom. So your buddies, your guests, you're the buddies, your guests are going to be dressed to the nines. We gave out hundreds of dresses to beautiful women. And I think we have some discounts on tuxes and ties, and these guys and girls are going to be just, ready to go. So we want you to kind of dress up also. But think about your role is to be a buddy for the night. So don't wear a dress that you have to worry about the straps or the buttons or anything like that. Be comfortable, wear comfortable shoes, please, but dress like you're going to a special event, because you are. Please make sure that you carefully read through your guest information. You should already have received it via email from the Night to Shine at RVA web's email address from Pam. Where's Pam? She's outside. Pam's outside. Pam is the one that has been sending you the emails, and she is so great to respond to emails if you have any questions. If you can't find your buddy information, email Pam and she will send it to you again. But that's what you really need to take a look at to make sure you know any allergies, any special health considerations that you need to be aware of, any other notes from the parents or caregivers, and your guest's last name. When you're in the car parking, you need to know your guest's last name, because when you show up here on the 9th, it's going to say A through L go this way and M through Z go this way, but it's not your name. So you need to know your guest's name to know which line to get in, or you'll be in the wrong line And I'll say, remember I told you. So please make sure you know your guest's last name so you can get in line. When your guests come, they're going to get in line by their last name, and we want you to be ready for them in the right spot. You will have dinner with your guests, so you can plan on having dinner of chicken and potatoes and green beans and cookies, and it will be great. It's from Publix. And also, if you are feeling sick, if you are under the weather, if you've had a COVID test, please, we love you, but we don't want to see you that night. We'll sign you up for next year. So you can email nighttoshine@wepc.org. You can reply back to any email that you've received from any of us. We have backup buddies, so don't worry like, oh no, I have to come. Really, we want you to have a great time, but our utmost priority is for our guests' safety, and we really want to keep everybody safe. So there's that. Okay. For arrival, we would like you all to be here by 5 o'clock. The guests will be coming at 5:45. They'll probably try to come even earlier. So we want you to be checked in, have your name badges in your right spots, and ready to go. So if you could arrive by 5 p.m., that would be great. We are asking you, if possible, to carpool. Load up everybody in the same road. Just say, let's drive together, meet at my house, because parking is going to be limited. In fact, we are going to ask that you park next door, that way, behind the Arby's in the Quioccasin Station parking lot, and walk over. It's not too far of a walk. The weather's going to be great. That's why you're wearing comfortable shoes. And that will leave the parking spaces out front for our guests. So please, if you could carpool and park over there and walk over, we would greatly appreciate it. When you come in, you will come in upstairs, not this door, but upstairs, and enter into the gallery. That's where you're going to either go this way or this way based on your guest's last name. You'll check in and get your name tag. Along with your name tag, we'll have guest information. That will again have those allergies, parents' phone number if you need to reach someone during the night, anything else that you really want to have on hand so you can take a look at your name tag and just review real quick. You're going to pick up a corsage or boutonniere that you will give to your guest. You're going to get a small red carpet card that will probably be tucked into your lanyard, and that has information about your guest that you will give to the red carpet attendant. That has really important information like loves Pokemon and is an amazing dancer, so that when your guest goes down the red carpet, they can tell some really fun facts about them, and everybody can cheer. And then you'll also get a limo card, so you'll need to make sure you pick up all of those things when you get here at 5 o'clock. Half of you will be going down the left hallway and waiting in the sanctuary. Half of you will be going down the right hallway and waiting in the chapel. Hopefully our registration process will be so smooth, we won't even notice it. It'll be so great. So this is a quick at a glance. We'll start out with the registration process. You will already be there at 5, so you'll be waiting. The guests will come in with their caregivers. We will confirm their contact information. So you will have theirs and they will have yours. So if there's when you get your information, if there's anything that's wrong, tell us right away so we can make some corrections. After you are buddied up, you'll find your guest, you'll say goodbye to parents. If you came in the right side door, then that's where you're going to meet the parents at the end of the night, okay? If you came in the left side door, that's where you'll meet the parents at the end of the night. So go ahead and communicate. I'll meet you right here at the end of the night so we're not lost trying to find where everybody is. After your registration, you'll move into the sanctuary, where we'll have 3 photo stations set up for portraits. And then, backwards. First, if you have a guy buddy, you'll want to hit the dude station for a quick shoe shine, a little hair, a spritz of something that won't be an offensive odor at all, and then do the photos. And then you'll go to the red carpet. Those are the upstairs. Downstairs we have dinner, which will be in this room, photos with some pageant winners, some princesses, some other special guests, limo rides, dancing, karaoke, and a crowning ceremony. All right, so here's the information about the Dude Lounge. Portraits will take place in the sanctuary. Your guest might want you to take the picture with them, or they might not want you to take the picture with them. Either way is fine, just go with it, ham it up, make it serious, whatever seems to, work for the moment and for your guest. After portraits, you'll walk out to the red carpet, which will be basically right up those stairs. You walk out of the sanctuary, give your red carpet card to the red carpet lady, and then she will pass it to our announcer who will announce your guest. This is kind of the most likely bottleneck of the evening because we have one red carpet. So we are going to try to keep it moving as best we can. At the end of the carpet, you will walk down these stairs with your buddy or take the elevator, which is right next door. Just gauge what's best for your buddy. And if it's too crowded, there's also stairs over here. Is there anything else I wanted to say about that? Hold on. If you don't want to walk. Oh yeah. If your buddy does not want to walk down the red carpet, that is okay. We would love for them to do that, but if they don't want to do it, that's okay. And also, if it's too much, if it's too loud, we do have a way to signal a quiet red carpet. So you could just mention that to the attendant, we want a quiet red carpet, and she'll put up the stop sign and we'll do some fingers and things like that to make it a little bit less overwhelming. All right. On your way down the stairs, about halfway, on this mid-level, is where the line for the limo rides will be. You will have a limo ticket, but unlike previous years, we're not exactly giving you a limo time. We have 3 real big limos, so we should be able to accommodate everybody, I hope. So if there's a long line, I wouldn't get in it, check back. Hopefully that line will be moving pretty quickly throughout the night. But we do ask that you just take one limo ride. That's why you have one limo ticket. So turn in your limo ticket, take your limo ride, it will be fantastic, and then, give somebody else a turn. And the limo team has had some training about helping to get people in and out of the limos, so that is not something that you would need to do. If someone is in a wheelchair or if someone has mobility issues, the limo team will help them get in and out. Okay, next is dinner. Dinner will be in here. It is your job to know your buddy's allergies or food sensitivities, so even something like needs to have food cut in small pieces, needs soft food, and communicate that to your table host when you come in for dinner. So we will be eating on a flow, so you'll come in, sit down, eat, and then they'll turn the table over for the next group of people. So while we're still in dinner mode, I wouldn't necessarily linger too long in dinner if it's getting pretty full. But please make sure your table host knows about the allergies. We will have different color plates, so we'll be real careful about gluten. In fact, our whole meal for the most part is gluten-free except the cookie. Gluten-free, dairy-free, vegetarian, we have options for everything. And Abby Thomas, who's in charge of our kitchen, is super allergy aware and will be very careful about that. But please make sure you communicate that with your server and with your table host. This is a good time if you need to run to the restroom or something, because there will be a table host, there will be servers around, that you can go to the restroom and straight back through those doors. Just make sure that if you do go, that you're making sure someone is keeping an eye out for your buddy. So whether that's another buddy that's sitting at the table with you or a table host, just keep in mind that we really want to make sure that buddies are always buddied. And if your buddy needs to use the restroom, we do have some members of the medical team that will be stationed by the restrooms. So If they have needs, bathroom needs, that is not your job. You do not need to do that. But one of the medical team people will go into the restroom and make sure that they get the assistance that they need. Other than that, everything else down here is so much fun, and you can do it all. We have a photo booth that will be in a classroom right out this way. Around the back of the gym is where the parents and the caregivers will be hanging out. So there's really nothing for guests back there unless you want to just stroll down and do a wave. The gym this way is where dancing will be. And then around to the other side of the gym, we're setting up different kinds of carnival games like Giant Jenga, Giant Connect 4, things like that, just to have some different new options for guests. Photo booth games, karaoke will be here, probably a little bit after dinner, not during dinner, but after most of the dinner guests have gone through. Photos with friends, dancing, and then we do have a sensory or quiet room, which is straight back there across from the bathrooms. If your guest just needs to chill out, sit on a couch, relax, that room is available and is also staffed. So we do have tons of activities. Here's what we really want you to try to do. We would really like you to take portraits. Portraits and red carpet photos are things that parents and caregivers look for. So we really want to get you through portraits. And unless your guest is like, no, I'm not doing the red carpet, we would really like you to go down the red carpet. Of course, we want you to eat dinner. And then in this room at 7:30 and 8:15, we will have a short presentation called a crowning ceremony where we'll watch a video from Tim Tebow Foundation. Pastor Joe Brown will give a short talk. We'll remind all of our guests that they are loved, that's why they're here, and we will give them their crowns and tiaras. So we'll have people that will hand you the crown and the tiara, and then you will help crown your guest. So that'll be at 7:30 and 8:15. We will come out and say crowning ceremony, but just try to make sure you get to one or the other of those. Sensory room, and then at the end of the night, you'll go back upstairs. You have already talked to the parent about this is where I'm going to meet you at the end of the night, so you'll know exactly where to go. You'll pick up a goodie bag. Goodie bags are sorted by guest t-shirt size. So on your guest thing, it will say Jimmy is a size extra large, so you'll grab an extra large bag, give it to Jimmy, and say goodbye. Please don't say, hey, goodbye, and leave without making sure that he is reunited with his parents. And I think that's the end of mine, right? That's the end of mine. Does anybody have any questions about the flow of the night or this or that or anything? Yes.
Just a couple. Could you send us those who visit this presentation in an email? And then is there a map, because I'm more visual person, like what you said as far as the logistics?
Yes. We will send you this presentation. We will send you a map, and yes. And if you need your buddy information again, just send us an email and we'll send it back to you. There's Pam. That's Pam. Everybody wave to Pam. Pam is a wonderful person who replies to all your emails in such a gracious way. She doesn't usually sign her name. She's trying to be anonymous, but she's not. She's Pam. She's amazing. All right, so I want to introduce Casey. Will you share a little bit about your background?
Oh.
And she is going to take it from here.
I'm not used to clip mics. Now hear me okay? Is this all right? All right. Hi, I'm Casey. I actually am really pleased to be able to join you all for the evening and for Night Shine. I'm also going to be a buddy this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. I currently work with Special Olympics, and I've been on staff here in Virginia for 2 years, and I've been in the disability field. I worked for Special Olympics New Jersey for several years. I've been an aide and so forth. So I'm here just to help with Blair and Pam and Heather and do a little bit of like your role training. So we're going to talk a little more, or transition really from the logistics of the evening and those kinds of things into what it means to be a buddy and a little bit about disability, just so that you guys are a little more comfortable. So what we're going to do to start that, let's write some chat. It's going to be a fun, engaging time. So you guys have 3 minutes, and there's 3 questions up here. I will read them aloud in case you can't see. We are going to talk about your role, like broad strokes, like what does it mean to be a buddy, kind of high level. So what I want you guys to do is with a partner or with your table is take 3 minutes and answer these 3 questions. Discuss them amongst yourselves. What words describe a memorable school, homecoming, or prom experience that you had? Any word, any adjective, fun, whatever. Try to think better words than fun. Who made it that way? Who were the people in your homecoming or prom experience that made it so great, if you have that memory? For some of you might be thinking farther back than others. No judgment. And then the third question, very importantly, what words would you then use to describe those friends or those people who made it so special? So 3 minutes, and then we're gonna come back together, and I wanna hear what some of you guys have to say about that. Defines your job for Night to Shine. Be carefree, be outgoing, be accommodating, be supportive, be enthusiastic and energetic and passionate about whatever it might be. Maybe photo booth isn't really your thing, but for the Night to Shine, it's gonna be your thing. Make it your thing. Just like find something in it to love and make it your thing. You know what I mean? So in short, like in sum, that is your job. You get to be that person for your guest. Another way we could sum up your role as a buddy is to be a steward of both safety and companionship for the duration of the evening. So first on the safety end of things, Heather shared about a lot of this stuff. There's obviously some things that you guys have to be really aware of and mindful of throughout the evening, and so we want you to just remain attentive to the needs of your guest. Some of those, again, this might be a little bit redundant, but it doesn't hurt to get reminders. There are bathroom attendants and medical staff in the family bathrooms. You are providing that one-on-one support throughout the evening, so the guest should not be left unattended or without someone with them. Monitor food restrictions on their name tag, help with their cutting their food, really reducing risk throughout their participation in the activities. So I think that's a big thing when we think about the disability community is that idea of risk, and we're afraid of risk. Well, what if they, they're dancing and they're dancing too energetically and we're like afraid, or whatever that might be. You don't have to have kitty gloves throughout the evening, but you do have a job to steward that safety and to help reduce the risk. So if you see a spill on the floor, that is a great example of you being a person to take responsibility for taking care of that, finding someone or cleaning it up yourself or whatever that looks like, to reduce the risk of injury or any kind of emergency. And then the second one, and the more fun one that we were just talking about before, is companionship. So that's this idea that yes, you are a supervisor of sorts throughout the evening, but you're also a peer leader. So this is also an experience for you. As Heather was saying, you're gonna be in your glam as well. Someone said glamorous, I loved that word. You're gonna be glamorous throughout the evening, and this is a time for you to also have fun. So you can celebrate adventure and make this night about your guest, but part of doing that is sharing in that companionship and really embracing the experience and the friendship possibility that you have with your guest. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wait, can you go back? No. Yeah, expanding your comfort zone, maximizing inclusion, participation, and a positive experience. So the thing I want to highlight with that is maximizing participation, especially. Again, based on what Heather said, guests don't have to do everything, but we do want to help encourage participation. And so think of that idea of maximizing their participation in as much as possible. Maybe expanding your comfort zone and your guests, but definitely not forcing anything. So that's kind of a balancing act. You can use your discernment as you get to know your buddy your guest, throughout the evening to determine that. Disability and behavior awareness. Love that picture. So about guests, your guests have a variety of disabilities, cognitive and possible physical disabilities and disorders. I think there were a lot of newbies, Night to Shine Buddy newbies in the room, which I think is so awesome. So this hopefully, for some of the returners, this might be stuff that you already know, but for some of the new folks, we're really glad to kind of give you this overview, if you will. No two people with the same disability label or diagnosis are the same or have the same needs. That's kind of a common misconception that all people with Down syndrome are like, or all people who are autistic are like, and that's just not the case. So we're going to talk through common characteristics. I call it like the line of best fit. Some things that you might see. This does not mean that this is going to apply. These things that we're talking about are going to apply to every single guest. But it does mean that these are really helpful things for you to be mindful of that can help us do what I was talking about before, maximizing inclusion, participation, and that fun experience. So some of the characteristics that you might be able to observe among your buddy, I say guest and buddy interchangeably, so I'm sorry, is challenges with motor planning. That's really simply put, the brain's ability to process the action that someone's going to take and for their body to follow through with that. So that could be like walking down the red carpet and the person wants to, and they're thinking about it and they're readying themselves up to it. They're just not there yet. Maybe it's going to take them a little bit of like a confidence boost, or it might take them a few more moments to kind of feel ready to be able to do that, or like make some kind of action to take that first step down the red carpet type of thing. So just be mindful of that. Obviously, the takeaway from that is just be patient, which is very, I think, commonsensical. But if it helps, that's where some of that can come from. And similar with like sensory processing disorder and just sensory sensitivities in general, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. Those can include both like hypersensitivity and also hyposensitivity. So there might be folks where like the loud music's a lot or the lights are a lot, but then you might have buddies that are like, the music's not loud enough. We need strobe lights, and like they want more of that sensory experience. So be mindful of both. I think we talked about a little bit with the folks who are hypersensitive that there is a quiet room. There are spaces for them to retreat, since it is a lot more of a high sensory experience evening already. So folks who might have like hyposensitivity will probably be okay. They might be the ones just like raging the whole time. So definitely wear comfortable shoes. Hyperactivity and inattention, kind of address that a little bit. We'll talk about it more. Social anxiety, something like there's about 20%, I think I heard this statistic recently, of the intellectual and developmental disability population actually has diagnosed anxiety, but there are a lot of traits among that population that kind of like are similar to that of folks who have different anxieties, like nervousness towards trying something new, or potentially like heightened awareness of self and worried about like what they say, what they do, wanting to do things right. So just being aware of that kind of thing among your guests as well. Hypotonia, this is something I do like to bring up. So people with Down syndrome have hypotonia, which means low muscle tone. What I think is really interesting, fascinating about that is that just means their muscles grow slower and at a lower and slower rate. So they don't develop their muscles as the non-disabled folks do, folks without hypotonia. But what's interesting about that is that includes the muscles in your mouth and specifically your tongue. So think about that, especially for folks with Down syndrome. If anyone has anybody with Down syndrome, that it might take a lot more time for that person to communicate what they want to with you. You might see them trying and making an effort, but not being able to get their words out as quickly. So just being patient. I'm super verbal, so I will admit, I struggle with this a lot. I'm the classic person that likes to interrupt you to help you finish your sentence when you're talking. And I really have to check myself and not do that when I'm around my peers with disabilities, and specifically with folks with Down syndrome, because you know how it's so challenging. You want to express what you're thinking or what you want to do, what have you, but you can't, or you just want to have someone who's going to hold space for you to be able to get those words out. That's what you guys can be. So just be really mindful of that, especially of folks with Down syndrome, that just give them even more time than you typically would. Don't feel like you have to rush in and help. Do you mean this? Do you mean that? Let them communicate with you. Obviously, they seem frustrated and they're like getting worked up because of that. Then obviously you can help assist. But yeah, just wanted to give you a note on that. The impact of some of these characteristics, so kind of how you might see some of these, and I did address some of them already. Throughout the evening, include short attention span and wandering. So definitely you can allow for that. You can allow for someone that wants to jump into thing after thing after thing. Again, wear comfortable shoes. That just might be what they're feeling like they can handle in each activity at a time. Is something that is only 2 minutes of dancing and then they want to jump to the next thing, or they're bored or anxious about it or whatever it might be. So allow for that, maybe allow for that. Also difficulty though with schedule transitions in another sense. So something like the crowning ceremony, again, we kind of said these are things that we really, really want like folks to go to. So just pay attention to that. Maybe that's something you can like feel out in the earlier part of the evening. If you missed the first crowning ceremony, the 7:30 ceremony, and your buddy is like just crushing it on karaoke or something, and even though you've communicated to them that, hey, they're at 8:15, you have to leave in 10 minutes, you can cue and things like that to prepare someone, it could be really difficult for that guest to like pull themselves away because they just want to keep singing because they're doing an amazing job. So be aware of that. You can provide cues. That is very helpful in whatever like schedule, and I'm a little bit less aware of this, but feel free to also bring your guest in on your duties, if you will, like of the schedule. Like Heather did a great job briefing the entire evening. You guys know everything that's happening really A to Z. And especially with the potential for those anxieties that guests might have, it is really nice to be able to give them a layout as well. Some of them might want that. So that could be something at dinner. You can casually bring up some of the activities that you guys will be getting to do afterwards, and maybe making a plan or showing them the items that you have or the visual map or anything. Like, we could go upstairs and we could do that and that, and then we'll have to go down, that kind of thing, to just kind of help alleviate some of that stress around having multiple transitions in the evening. And they are also being communicated with as well, I know, on the guest side, so they should also be coming prepared, but it does help to reinforce. And then sensory overload, we did talk about that a little bit. And then self-stimulatory behavior. So it's like a self-regulatory, potentially self-soothing behavior that can be in the form of like physical behavior, like rocking, flapping of hands, pacing, or it could be verbal, like repetitive phrases or quotes or something. And just know, along with the wandering, that is certainly acceptable and allowable. So we don't want to discourage a person's interest in being able to express how they need to regulate themselves. However, that said, a big goal is to maximize participation. So throughout the evening, you will want to allow space for your guest to, if they have to go off onto the side, they just like to pace, that's okay. You can absolutely allow for that, but also don't be afraid to kind of interrupt that softly now and again, and maybe try to engage them to come alongside you into an activity. And maybe they do it for 30 seconds and then they go back, totally fine, that's great. But just kind of keep that in mind throughout the evening of the goal to connect and to maximize their participation as much as possible while keeping them comfortable. Social engagement, and then providing direction and care. Yes, so social engagement, see how your guest is when they arrive and meet them there. I don't mean locationally, although you do know that. Meet them where they are. But also like emotionally. There's this made up word that I really love called with itness. This idea of like being with a person. You could also call it presence, like how we make other people feel by being around them. So pay attention to your guests when they arrive. If they seem a little inward, body language communicates a lot. not, or if they seem like they're ready to go, where's that karaoke, you know, whatever. Kind of meet them where they are. You don't have to be the same exact personality as your guest by any means, but certainly you can pick up a lot early on, especially for folks who are coming in a little bit more shy or anxious. And you are really, again, that steward of companionship and comfort for them throughout the evening. So just really work to discern that and be mindful of some of those things you observe. Oh, now we have a lovely video for Emily. So Emily is actually going to share a little bit about, from this idea of social engagement, some tips for you guys. So she couldn't be here tonight because she's a busy girl. She has lots going on, but she was able to provide us a video portion of video training for you.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Emily Dodge, and I'm 20 years old. And I was born with Down syndrome.
Hey. How many years have you been doing Night to Shine?
This is my 7th year.
Yeah. What other groups are you involved with in the Richmond area?
I've been involved with Miracles Motion since I was 4.
And what is Miracles in Motion?
Miracles Motion is a dance group.
Okay. Anything else?
I've been with River City Stars, it's a cheerleading team.
Uh-huh.
And I've been with VDSA, Virginia Down syndrome, when I was born. And I've been with Jacob's Chance since I was 3.
And what is Jacob's Chance?
Jacob's Chance is a inclusive programs and stuff.
They do enrichment programs and sports and all sorts of outings and social things.
It's
Yeah.
all the things, yes.
Very good. All right. So what do people need to do if they want to get to know people with disabilities? What advice would you give them?
Well, just have fun and walk the red carpet with them and dance the night away. We do a crowning ceremony and get a picture taken with a photographer, and yeah.
What about the limo ride?
A limo ride, of
Yeah,
course.
that's fun. What if somebody doesn't understand what someone is telling them? What should they do?
You can repeat.
Yeah.
You can repeat what they say.
Yeah, ask them to please repeat it or to slow down.
Yes.
You have any other advice for people that are going to be buddies for the very first time?
Oh my God, it's too late for it, and you can't be the best one yet to be with a buddy. You're already a buddy to our kids.
So just to have fun?
Have fun and love them with your own heart.
Love everybody with your own heart. All right. So how are we going to make this the best night ever?
Well, I think it's a big celebration and it's a big part of our life, and the world's in your hands right now.
And the world is in your hands. So just have fun. Treat your buddy just like they're your best friend. And if you have any questions at all, that's what your leadership team is for. Thanks. We'll see you there.
From the sense of communication. So do you guys know that communication is only 7% verbal? I'm sure many of you have heard that statistic. I just think that's wild. And it's really very, I feel like it's most pervasive when engaging with the disability community, because there's so many ways that you can connect with someone and actually have really wonderful communication that's not verbal. So we're just going to highlight a couple things though within each of these, within kinesthetic, visual, and verbal. Starting with verbal, clear, concise language, also a challenge for me. I'm wordy. So it's always a challenge when I'm communicating with someone. Use known vocabulary. Shouldn't be too much of an issue for this evening, but yeah, where you can, just try to use vocabulary that you think is generally understood among folks. It isn't too complicated. Check for understanding. So does that make sense? Or what did you just hear from what I said about the schedule or something like that? Check and make sure that your buddy is actually hearing you. They might say like, yeah, okay. But make sure that they are actually comprehending and can kind of repeat back, or make sure that you're like connecting in that way. There's a variety of ways that you can do that, but I think asking simply even, does that make sense, or are you understanding what we're doing after this, or that kind of thing. Focus attention. So if, as we were talking about before, if there's someone with maybe some sensory overload or something like that, and they seem really easily distracted, you can use focus words. I sometimes like to say like, hey, where's the DJ? And then that kind of immediately directs someone's eyes towards something that is known and like concrete in the room. Or depending on how you're engaging with that person, you could, like if I was a buddy, I might say like, where are Casey's hands or something, and if the person might come right, and there's my hands, and then you're gonna have a moment to be connected. And that could be just for a moment of connection. That could be a moment for direction. If there's somewhere you guys need to go or want to go next, that could be a really helpful cue for that. So thinking of some words to focus attention, and some key words for that. Also using a person's name really helps often if they're, especially if they're in their thoughts. Sometimes it can be really helpful to just use their name, kind of focus someone in, even if it's for a moment. If you don't understand what they're saying, I love what Emily said. She said, can you repeat that? You could say that, you could say, can you say that again? Repeat what you did hear, and then ask them if that's correct. You can even admit, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. I wish I did. You can own that. You can kind of come as your honest self with your buddy, because they're coming in as their honest self to you too. Sometimes I think we have to, maybe it's out of our own worries of working with the population. If it's new for some of us, that we sort of have to come as these experts, or that we know everything, or we can't ever admit that we're not that totally comfortable or aware. If you don't know what someone's saying after 3 or 4 tries, you can absolutely say, I don't know what you're saying. And you might not know where to go from there, but that's okay. People are not formulas, they're individuals. And so you're just navigating this with an individual for the evening, and they're navigating with you too. Kinesthetic, so spatial, like body, ways to communicate kind of, or connect using kind of kinesthetic cues, touch, hand and facial gestures. So if you could smile, high five, thumbs up, all of those cues that you guys know and love. Body language, we're actually taught eye contact is really a sign of respect, and that someone's listening to you. The non-disabled community understands that. But for folks with disabilities, sometimes eye contact or like direct shoulders up, like shoulder to shoulder communication can feel intimidating or uncomfortable or whatever it might be. So you don't have to be aware of body language, but you don't have to feel like someone has to give you eye contact, or you have to meet their eyes in order to communicate with them. I've sometimes had such fantastic conversations with, especially the autism community, like shoulder to shoulder. Like if it seems like someone's like backing up or like turning away from you, you might think like, oh, they're not interested in conversation or connecting with me. That's not necessarily true. So don't think that. Just presume interest in connection. Surely if they're like running away from you, don't like chase them down. But if there's a wider there's a wider space of connection typically, and so you can like. Just being aware of that helps you also to get comfortable in that space, and kind of you can even turn your body as well. Sometimes I do that, and then I'll like get right next to someone and look this way. They're here, and we can still have a great conversation, or we can still be together, and that matters too. So you can kind of explore and experiment with that kind of stuff as well. Tone of voice, age-appropriate communication in general. So a lot of your buddies will probably be adult age. They might have interests or engage and speak in a way that you might think is cognitively much younger. That's okay if they love Beanie Babies and they're 35. I mean, Beanie Babies rock. But But we do encourage you to use age-appropriate communication and tone of voice as much as possible. Respect your buddy as the age and the person that they are, and the stage of life that they're in, and how they're coming to the time. So you're welcome to talk about their job, or traffic, or maybe getting a driver's license, or relationships, anything that quote unquote adults can talk about. You can engage in that way with your buddy to the level that they're comfortable and able to. And then also, again, using a tone of voice that is not like infantilizing of that buddy. Exploring what is new, a lot of times it might take someone, when they walk into a room for the first time to get to know their environment and feel comfortable. That's like a part of that, like just that self-education for them to kind of get comfortable and aware of their space, and that could be where some of the walking around or distractibility comes in. Totally okay. That's them getting used to their space and just getting comfortable. Tactile prompts, I'll talk about that next. And then visual cues, demonstrate how to do the funky chicken or whatever it might be. Again, this is a space for us to stretch our comfort zones. Schedule and signage, as I had said before, so if it helps to communicate what's coming up next, you can point to the sign. There's going to be lots of signs around things to make it easy to transition. So you are a vessel for those resources and those tools, so use them. Guests who are non-speaking, these guests can understand you and can communicate with you. Ask parents how a person who's non-speaking likes to communicate. So when you arrive and you have that kind of first meeting with them, when doing so though, speak with your buddy, speak with them and not about them. That might feel a little awkward if they're not speaking back to you, or it doesn't seem like they're that interested or engaged, but they are your buddy. The parent is not your buddy for the evening. So absolutely speak with the parent, like, hey, how does so-and-so? You can use their name, speak to them in the third person. So how does Robert like to communicate? Robert's right there, but engage them in that. Or, Robert, I'm gonna have fun with you. What are you looking forward to, anything in particular? Even if mom is answering, you can still ask the question to Robert. That does say a lot to Robert about your withedness of him. Providing direction and care. So this is, I don't have graphic design skills, but this is my, like a journey from the bottom to top.
I think it's really good. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is a flow that I like to use, called like a progression of instruction. So if you're needing to help support your buddy to do something that they like, especially something that they like, because we're not forcing anyone to do anything, but if they're wanting to engage in something, but they need assistance, this is sort of the journey recommended. Start with verbal communication. Assume competence. Help promote independence among your buddy. So I'm a little strict on this. I actually really like to start with verbal and not demonstrate until I kind of see that there's still some confusion about what the activity is or something. And then I'll kind of do some demo of whatever it might be. If your buddy still seems a little bit uncomfortable or unsure, then you can progress to a physical prompt. So the example we'll use for this is the photo booth. So let's say there's a bunch of props at the photo booth and your buddy's like wants the boa, and maybe they're having a very hard time getting the boa, and they want to like wrap it around their shoulders, but they like can't seem to do that. Their mobility reasons or whatever it might be, or their motor planning or their coordination. So you can actually say, oh, a prompt might be you take the boa and you place it in their hand, and you say, okay, now put it around to the other side of your shoulder or whatever. If it still seems like it's a challenge, then it would be actually full physical assistance of like wrapping the boa around them. That's such a small example, but it is really a small but prominent way that you are kind of showing or acknowledging their independence and their opportunity for them to be independent and try and in the way that they can, in the pace that they can. Because if you don't explore that and leave room for that, then then you're just going to be doing everything for your buddy throughout the evening. So give room for that. Obviously, be mindful of safety as we talked about and these kinds of things, but with things like putting a boa on or things of that like, be mindful of that progression of starting with verbal and demonstration and then go to like a prompt. It could be like a tap on the shoulder kind of thing. And then you can like full on assist, like maybe hold their arm as they walk into something or whatever. Wheelchair etiquette, haven't mentioned this, limo rides do include trained volunteers to help with transfers. So you do not need to know how to do that yourself. In fact, we do not want you to do that yourself. Wheelchair really is an extension of a person's personal space. So that's very expensive and very important to that person in the wheelchair. It represents something very important to them. So just be aware of that there are folks who, don't take liberties when it comes to like lifting anyone out or anything like that when it comes to their wheelchair. You may get on their level when speaking with them to make sure they can hear you, but you don't have to. So if it's certainly, I think the bigger thing with this is that it might be loud in the rooms, and so in order to hear, that's really good to kind of make sure that the person can hear you and you can kind of crouch down, that kind of thing. But you don't have to feel like you have to the whole time, especially again, just from your common sense and your discernment, if you're able to kind of have dialogue, maybe your buddy projects really well and you're loud and you guys can have conversation and you're not super tall or whatever it is. So you don't have to always, but certainly to be mindful of like bringing things to their level and allowing them to engage in the maximizing their participation of the evening by bringing their things to their level to engage. And then guests are not wheelchair bound, but they're wheelchair users. So that's our terming for that. They're not bound to a wheelchair. They just use a wheelchair or they're in a wheelchair. This is the last slide before we have one more chat that I know you guys are really excited for. Before we do a little bit more, because that really means being inquisitive with yourself to really maximize this experience for your guest and you and your guests, and I do mean you and your guests. This evening is for your guests, but your ability to fully engage will impact your guest experience, and it will allow them to have a better experience. The more engaged and the more kind of fulfilling it is for you too. So the more you put in, the more that your buddy's going to get out of it. People with disabilities are individuals. Ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions about their experience, their desires, and their needs throughout the evening. That's your presence in action. So some of those could be, is my guest feeling overwhelmed in this environment? Does my guest feel heard right now? Is there too much waiting for my guest right now in the bottleneck or whatever? Maybe we can go take a little walk over to the hallway and then come back or something. Have I allowed room for my guest to communicate back to me? Is there something about their day that could be impacting their mood? Maybe you find out about drama from school at dinner or something, and that is something that's really in their mind and they want to talk about it or they seem stressed about it. Be aware of those things. And those are great checking questions with yourself just to make sure that you're being really mindful of their experience throughout the evening. So, our last one, partner chat. Discuss these scenarios. So we talked about some things that you can do, some of the disability common characteristics, things to be mindful of, ways to maximize experience. So you guys have had a really overarching training on this, if you will. So these are 3 scenarios of things that could happen at Night to Shine, and we think it'd be really good to practice actually talking that through and thinking that through of what you might do. And a lot of these, I'm not going to fully say there's no wrong answer, because sometimes there could be something that's like outrageously terrible, but we're not looking for like one right answer here. There's a lot of ways to adapt an experience or to engage a person, because again, people are individuals, not a formula. So these are the scenarios you're going to have. I'll give you about 5 minutes, just as before, to talk amongst your group about these, the things that you would do. So the first one, you can pick 1 or 2 if you really have great conversation about them. I'm pretty open about this, but we're giving you 3 scenarios. If your buddy doesn't answer when you ask what they want to do, what can you do? If your buddy doesn't understand how to participate in an activity or seems anxious about it, what can you do? If your buddy is distracted and not paying attention to you when you try to go to the crowning ceremony, what do you do? So those are just some, thoughts for you guys, scenarios for you guys to chat about. So chat, and then we'll come back, and then in the next phase we'll wrap up. Minutes left, so we're gonna get you out early tonight. But before we do, we have a few other things we want to share. But to kind of close this piece out, what did you guys have? What's a scenario that you guys identified, and anything that your group said? Let's hear it loud and proud.
Providing options.
Providing options?
Maybe this or this.
Ooh, yeah. For like the first one, like if they don't know what to do, you can give them options. Yeah. Love that.
Make sure, repeat it, make sure they actually heard and understood.
Check for understanding. Great.
Be an example, like show them how they can participate and like what they can do.
Yeah.
Or like do something or suggest to do it together.
Yeah. She said be an example, show them what they can do, demonstrate, show them what they're doing can be successful. Well, number 3, did anyone want to tackle the I don't want to go to the crowning ceremony, I want to keep singing.
Let's just
Any
keep
thoughts?
singing.
Let's keep singing. Love it.
Hype it up.
Hype it up. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's other people with their tiaras already. And you're like, that's pretty.
Or maybe you can say, hey, let's go to the crowning ceremony and then we'll come back to singing.
Let's go to the crowning ceremony. Then let's go back to singing. You can sing with your crown. Bring the crown to them. Are they allowed to do that?
As long as they don't leave their buddy.
As long as they don't leave their buddy. So, yeah.
Let them know ahead of time, how much time there is before they need to go there, and how to work them up to it.
Yeah. And even for like karaoke example, it could be like, hey, 2 more songs, and then something that's really like concrete. Love these. These are great. Well, thank you all so much. So yeah, we're almost done. We're actually gonna get up out of our seats in like 2 minutes, but we have ending strong, talking about emergencies. Really simply though, remember the green shirts and orange shirts. The green shirts are your support team. Orange shirts are your medical team. They're there to help support any of the needs of the evening. Communicate emergencies to any of those people first. So you can definitely obviously step in and help, but they are floating around and they'll be very prominent in all spaces. So make sure that they are aware of any kind of emergency first and foremost, because then they can take the proper emergency action planning steps. And then, what's considered an emergency? Medical needs, suspicious or non-typical behavior. So if it's behavior among your buddy that throughout the evening maybe he's gotten like progressively more volatile, or they're maybe it's like a verbal stim that they've had, but now they seem like a lot more like they're yelling or they're upset or angry, and you're not sure how to deal with it. You don't have to face all of these behaviors and things by yourself. That's what the team is there for. So don't hesitate. It's better to engage someone and then something de-escalates like in 30 seconds than not, and be like, oh dang, like they've had now a bad experience, or this has really gotten bigger than it needed to. So yeah, be conservative in your judgment. So and now we're gonna do a couple more things. One more thing.
So in many years, we've been fortunate with emergencies. We haven't had anything super serious. We've had some people get overheated. There was a year when we had a couple of seizures. We do have doctors on site. We have a number of nurses. We'll have police, EMT here. So we are equipped to handle emergencies should they happen. Let's pray they don't. But if they do, somebody will know what to do, because somebody will be a doctor. And but if you feel like your guest is getting overheated, you can take them to the quiet room or come in here and sit down and enjoy some melodic karaoke, or kind of be proactive in that too. This is attendance if you did not get it at the beginning of the meeting, or if you came in late. If there's anyone who couldn't get it to work or whatnot, I put a notebook and a pencil on the back table. You can write your name.
Yeah.
The internet isn't working? Okay, so can you click on the form and then when you get to your car, fill it out? Well, do you promise you'll do that? Okay. If you don't, Pam is going to send you an email that said you didn't go to training and you'll be sad. Okay, and so will Pam. Okay. Also, if you have free time next week, this Saturday, next Thursday night the 8th, and Friday during the day from 9 to 2, and you would like to help us decorate, we would definitely love more help. If you would like to bring in a pack of cookies, because although you are getting a dinner, the other volunteers that are helping with other things are not getting a dinner, so we're going to have some granola bars and cookies and things for them. So if you would like to provide something or decorate, you can sign up here. If you have questions, that's my cell phone. nightttoshine@webc.org is the email that Blair and Pam check on the regular. We are so thankful to all of you again for coming, and we have one last surprise. And questions. Let's do questions first. Yes.
My question is, so the decorating, is that only like for the people that are here? Like if someone is not here present tonight, can they?
Anybody can come decorate. And you don't even need to be crafty or anything. You just need to be able to do what somebody tells you to do. So, Jennifer Farkas is a decorator. She's amazing. She's so creative, and she will give you a job that you can handle, and it will be beautiful when you come here next week. Yes.
My buddy is my brother, and I am also responsible for transporting him. Would I come at 5 o'clock with him?
Thank you so much, because I meant to talk about that and I forgot. Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. If you are buddied with a friend, if you are buddied with a family member and you're bringing them, or you can arrange with their parents, you don't have to come early, you can come with them. It would be helpful if you send us an email to let us know so we're not thinking, where is that person? But yeah, you can totally do that. You don't need to come early if you come with your guest. nightttoshine@webc.org. Any other questions?
Are you allowed to take pictures and send it to the parent?
Yes, you are. And you know what? We'll put, you can tag Night to Shine if you post pictures. And we'll be taking pictures all night. We will post them on a website, Flickr, the next day, so you'll be able to take a look at the portraits, the red carpet photos, and our candid photographers. One other thing about texting, you and your buddy's parent will have each other's contact information. Your buddy or your guest might be interested in swapping with you. Think about that before you do. I wouldn't say don't, but if you do, you might have a new texting buddy. And that could be great, but just be aware of that friendship could be ongoing. So if that's not something you feel comfortable with, just say, oh, I gave your mom my number, that's up to you.
You will share that link with us in an email to see the photos later after
Yes.
the event?
Yeah.
In the past, we were supposed to avoid using the last names when posting. Are we still supposed to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't use last names or really even any names. You could just say, great time with my buddy. Okay, here's the last thing. We did a lot of pointing this way, pointing that way. There's the gym, there's the bathroom. If you would like to walk around a little bit and see the spaces tonight before we leave, we want to invite you to do that. So some people, Sydney, Blair, raise your hand if you're a person that knows things around the building. Joe, you do, okay. Listmans. So people who we've talked to about being at certain stations around, we're gonna just stand in front of the gym, stand upstairs if you wanna see where do I go to the red carpet, where do we take pictures. If you wanna walk around a little bit for a few moments before you head out, if you have any questions, I want you to feel free to do that as well. All right, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next week.